So 4 work days down. For me, it was, 3. Yes, unfortunately, I was attending a funeral yesterday, and I am back ready to rock and roll on this, the Friday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. It is also the final day of our iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest, your last chance until next year to win a trip for 2 to fabulous Las Vegas for our iHeartRadio Music Festival, which is in just 2 weeks. So if you're not doing anything September 20th and 21st, or even if you are, clear your schedule, because if you text the word Vegas, 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 to 200 between now and 9:55, and your text is picked at random, you will win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. You get round-trip airfare for 2 nights hotel stay, ground transportation, tickets to both nights of the festival, and perhaps best of all, a $1,000 gift card to spend on whatever you want. Refreshments at the craps table. Choice is yours. If you enter the contest, you will get a confirmation text and information. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. All right. If you would like to join the Dan O'Donnell Show, adventknows.com talk and text line is open. 414-799-1130. Reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. You can email me, DOD@iHeartMedia.com. Watch the show streaming live. We are on the Dan O'Cam on X at Dan O'Donnell Show there. Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. And of course, you can find us on YouTube. Just search for Dan O'Donnell or Dan O'Donnell Show. A lot to get to on the program, including a deadly school shooting in Georgia. And of course, the biggest outrage is something J.D. Vance did not say. It is Friday. How bizarre. Strangest stories of the past 7 days. Unhinged liberal of the day. Much, much more. Also, Kamala Harris, once again, through anonymous campaign officials, just disavows, completely flip-flops on one of her most closely held positions. Her proposed ban on plastic straws. But first, it was a terrifying scene yesterday morning at about 11 o'clock, maybe a little bit after, 91st and Custer on Milwaukee's northwest side. 3 Milwaukee police officers, technically 1 sergeant and 2 officers, all with the MPD Special Investigations Division, suffered graze wounds to their hands when a suspect opened fire on them. They were looking for a 35-year-old man wanted for several crimes, including domestic violence-related false imprisonment and sexual assault. Police say they tried to get the man to come out of a first-floor apartment when, about an hour later, police say he began shooting at officers. Now, as one police source put it to me, thank God that they were using their shields. These are Special Investigations Division members. They knew that this was an armed and very dangerous suspect, and I have identified him. I am not going to publicly identify him. We sort of have a policy on the Dan O'Donnell Show that we wait until criminal charges are filed, until his name is a matter of public record. I have been able to confirm his identity via a plethora of law enforcement sources, as well as arrest records, Milwaukee County jail records, that sort of thing. So we know who this is, and we have learned a disturbing amount of detail about his background, which will, once again, make you wonder why this suspect was on the streets at all. He has a long criminal record that dates all the way back to 2006 when he was 20 years old. He has been a felon for at least a decade. And he has an open case against him that dates back to October of 2020. It is rather remarkable that this case had dragged on for nearly 4 years without a single effort, it seems, to bring this guy to trial. He eventually did just blow off a $1,000 cash bond, and he was out on the streets, where he opened fire at officers. And had they not been using their shields, this source says Quote, officers used the ballistic shields we got about a year ago, which saved their lives today. The officers fired back at the suspect, striking him in the shoulder and eventually taking him into custody after he surrendered. Again, all of the officers who were injured suffered graze wounds to their hands because they were behind their shields, which, thank goodness that they had them. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman expressed his outrage during a press conference following the incident yesterday.
These behaviors are unacceptable. Firearms used in this way is unacceptable. We as a community needs to surround our law enforcement, but also those who are doing right in the community, and disown and have a very serious message for those who use firearms in this inappropriate way. This is unacceptable. This should be, a problem for our community, and we need to make sure that we turn in this type of behavior around, not only locally, but also nationally.
And in fact, this was a problem. Obviously, it is the suspect who bears the responsibility for it. But again, I will ask, for it seems like about the 400th time, why was an obviously dangerous man who was wanted for sexual assault out on $1,000 cash bond? The suspect's criminal record does indeed go all the way back to 2006, and he had pretty much been in trouble every year since. He was convicted of a Class B misdemeanor for disorderly conduct in 2006. Then he graduated to car theft. 2007 had a conviction for operating a vehicle without the consent of the owner as a passenger, meaning he wasn't the one who was actually driving the stolen car, but he was inside of it. That's a Class A misdemeanor. 2008, theft of movable property, less than $2,500, again, a Class A misdemeanor. In 2011, his crimes start to get more severe, and he's convicted of a Class I felony, substantial battery with the intent to inflict substantial bodily harm. However, he's only sentenced to 8 months in jail with Huber privileges, meaning he can get out to go to work during the day and only has to report back to the House of Correction at night. The following year, he's found guilty again of disorderly conduct, 2012, Class B misdemeanor. 2015, again, Class B misdemeanor. In 2016, he's convicted of being in possession of body armor as a convicted felon. That is a Class E felony. And he also gets a Class A misdemeanor battery charge. He's again sentenced to 18 months in jail. However, that sentence is stayed, as well as a sentence of 18 months of probation. That sentence is stayed. Guess what he's actually sentenced to? By Michelle Havas. 50 hours of community service. Now things start to take a very dark turn, and the suspect is in some sort of romantic relationship that turns very violent very quickly. He's convicted of disorderly conduct with the use of a dangerous weapon and a domestic abuse modifier for Class B misdemeanor disorderly conduct. That gets him 9 months in jail. Once he gets out, he is charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, false imprisonment, and making domestic abuse threats. This case is still open. He made his initial appearance in Milwaukee County Circuit Court on October 20th. He is in court, and he's released on $2,500 cash bond. He's turned over to Justice Point for supervision, and he continues to attend hearings pretty much throughout 2020. But this case keeps moving forward, slowly. 2021, there's another status conference the following March. Hearings go straight into the end of 2021. Jeter is apparently picked up at some point and brought into custody in early 2022. So it seems as though he's already violated the terms of his release. On May 5th, however, he's released again on a $1,000 cash bond by Court Commissioner Frederick Rosas. Rosas, in spite of the fact that this suspect is already proven himself to be a significant flight risk, sets him out. He again, though, keeps attending hearings straight through to the end of 2022. September 1st, he does not show up. He's picked up again on September 12th. I don't know whether his bond was ever rejected or withdrawn, because that's not in the online record that I'm looking at. He's in custody through the end of 2022. He appears in court via video, and he appears to be behind bars. At some point, however, he's out. I'm not exactly sure how he got out, but $1,000 cash bond after he is picked up, released on $2,500 bond, and then does something to get himself rearrested. He's out on $1,000 cash bond. A couple of rather obvious questions present themselves here. A, why was this suspect re-released on bond? Why was he given a relatively low $2,500 cash bond for a domestic abuse case in which he was holding a girlfriend at gunpoint? And that's what the charges clearly point to. False imprisonment, domestic abuse threats, use of a dangerous weapon by a convicted felon. What the charges suggest, and I did not yet get access to the criminal complaint against this suspect from 2020, this suggests that there was some sort of argument and he was making threats and holding his girlfriend or holding some significant other against her will at gunpoint. This is a very, very, very serious charge. A case was presented to the DA's office September 3rd for this disorderly conduct and felon in possession charge that occurred on August 31st. The ADA in this case refused to charge, saying he couldn't prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. So this is as recently as August. None of this makes any sense. Why this guy is in and out and in and out. Once again, we're seeing a serious issue with the Milwaukee County justice system of A, approving low cash bonds and getting dangerous people who pose a significant threat to specific victims. And this is what makes this case so dangerous. When it's a domestic abuse case, it's very likely that the suspect will not only re-offend, but re-victimize the significant other who has now humiliated him in his mind by getting the cops called on him and getting him thrown behind bars. This was someone who very obviously had no intention of going quietly, and but for the grace of God and the ballistic shields, would have potentially killed 3 police officers yesterday. In broad daylight, with a gun he should have never been allowed to have, but more importantly, with freedom he should have never been able to attain. We will have more on this still developing story as we're able to confirm more details right here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style.
The Dan O'Donnell Show will be right back.
Our
Award 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One.
Just added to the superstar lineup.
The Weeknd. And a special performance by Coldplay's Chris Martin.
Joining a weekend of headliners.
A$AP Rocky, Big Sean,
Camila Cabello, Doja Cat, Dua Lipa,
Gwen Stefani,
Halsey,
Hosier, Keith Urban,
New Kids on the Block,
Paramore,
The Black Crows, Thomas Rhett,
Victoria Monet.
At T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
Get your tickets now at AXS.com.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Brad Youngbooth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. We have two big humps in this business, right before summer and right after fall. And for us, that's when the lines are the longest. Folks usually choose to do their exterior work during those times, and what I'm trying to do here with this message is level out the flow of business so that we don't have to disappoint anyone come November and December because they were hoping to get their work done before the snow flies. I understand where the focus is during summer, but you know what? It really is a great time to get signed up for your exterior work, like siding and windows, because that's when the lines are the shortest, and it's the one time that we're pretty sure we're not going to get any snow. So if you're looking to get your work done, why put it off? The lines are shorter and we'll be ready. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Jerry Paget, the second enlisted in the U.S. Navy and deployed multiple times to Iraq and Afghanistan until Jerry was catastrophically injured in an improvised explosive device blast. Now, Jerry received a new smart home thanks to our friends at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Now, the home is in the foundation's Let Us Do Good Village. It's in Florida, and Jerry now lives more independently thanks to the specially adaptive technologies. Commit to $11 a month, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org. Hey, I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. But just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
Show. Violence isn't the only major problem in Wisconsin, specifically Milwaukee. We also have a clear reckless driving problem in this city. 80 people died in traffic crashes in the city of Milwaukee last year, compared with just 32 in 2013, a decade ago. Largely fueling this, of course, is the car theft epidemic. Car thefts in Milwaukee now occur about once every hour and 15 minutes. Have no fear, though. To combat this deadly pandemic, the city of Milwaukee has deployed an art car. No, seriously, an art car. Stop laughing. It's a car that's, I guess, artistic. Now, to me, it looks like a piñata on wheels, but to the city's arts board, it somehow looked like a good idea. It is called the Moving City. It was unveiled over the summer, and it cost taxpayers $88,000. We're now learning more about this thanks to a report by Fox 6 in Milwaukee. According to the woman who created it, the Milwaukee public artist in residence, Sarah Davitt, it's worth it because it's saving lives. The art car. Seriously, stop laughing. She's dead serious.
Maybe we're not
able to affect the change of the people doing the reckless driving, but we can make sure that the woman who has 3 kids and lives in 36 and Capitol can get home tonight.
How exactly is she going to drive the art car in between that woman's car and the stolen vehicle barreling towards her? The chairwoman of the Milwaukee Arts Board, Polly Morris, admitted to Fox 6 in a written statement that this really isn't about stopping car thefts or stopping reckless driving, but rather raising awareness. And what it really was, at its heart, was a way to get $88,000 into Sarah Davitt's pocket. Here's what she said in relevant part. It was a model for a way to support artists in our city, to keep them here by compensating an artist to devote a year of work to a project. This is something that no other program in Milwaukee offers. Think about that the next time you want to pay an artist a couple of $1,000s to make a mural and then expect them to make a living. Oh, I am most definitely thinking about that. And what I'm thinking about this rolling eyesore is that it's actually even worse than a boondoggle. It appears to be political graft. The Arts Board wanted to make sure that Sarah Davitt got an $88,000 salary, right? It didn't care what they said. Okay, we're going to raise awareness of stolen cars. And, well, they don't actually say stolen cars because nobody wants to tie the car theft epidemic and the Kia boys and the joyriding that's been going on for a decade, especially since one of the worst policies in the history of the state of Wisconsin, the no pursuit policy under the former police chief Ed Flynn, that told pretty much every crook in town that if you run away from officers, they're not going to chase you. What do you think that would? Do you think they're running away from officers, driving very carefully, making sure to signal at every turn, or do you think that they're driving recklessly? What this is, the art car, is an attempt to raise awareness through art. So the Art Board thought it was unfair to just pay Davitt a commission for $40, which is what this art looks like it's worth. Seriously, this thing makes that giant orange asterisk at the end of Wisconsin Avenue look like Picasso. Even Picasso couldn't be this abstract. Oh, yes, we're going to represent car safety and reckless driving with a horrific rolling piñata. This would be egregious on its own. That we just feel like, well, we like Sarah Davitt, and I'm sure she's probably a perfectly fine artist. I think her art car is hideous, but hey, maybe it's designed to be hideous. Producer Dave, this is Dave Michaels, not Dan O'Donnell, says that it looks like a hemorrhoid. The back of the car does, in fact, kind of look like a hemorrhoid with the traffic cones poking out of this weird, like, open sore in the back of the car. Okay, yes, I'll give you that. Your art critique is valid. Where did you what institute did you study at to say it looks like a hemorrhoid? All right, this would be bad enough on its own. But Milwaukee's budget director, Nick Kovac, the former alderman, is projecting an $87 million budget shortfall in next year's budget. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second. Didn't the city of Milwaukee just get authorized to implement, and didn't it just authorize without a single vote or a referendum or anything? It just kind of happened, a brand new 2% city sales tax that went into effect on January 1st, and you, dear listener, would be absolutely correct. Now, what were we told that this city sales tax would go towards? Funding a pension crisis that had grown out of control, and this was, not going to go to any sort of extravagance. This wasn't going to go right back into the pockets of the Common Council and the mayor, only it did. Almost a year ago, you might remember that this very radio show broke the news that the mayor was planning to give mass massive raises to himself, all of his top appointed officials, and the Milwaukee Common Council. In fact, Common Council members voted themselves a 15% raise on top of the massive raises that the police chief, the fire chief, pretty much every head of every division appointed by Mayor Cavalier Johnson, as well as Johnson himself, got a huge raise. Did you get a 15% raise last year? I most certainly did not. But when you've got a brand new 2% sales tax that you can soak citizens and visitors to the city, you'll notice just in time for the Republican National Convention. That's what they ultimately wanted. They thought, okay, we're going to have so many visitors to the city. We can have this sales tax and we can get a whole lot of revenue. We were told that this revenue was needed because of a massive fiscal hole. Now, $88,000 in the grand scheme of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that go into the city budget is not a big thing. But yet again, this is a graphic visual representation of the fecklessness of Milwaukee's leaders. We're not going to get serious about a deadly serious problem. We're going to deploy the art car, and we're not going to get serious about plugging our fiscal hole, which is very significant and due to decades worth of pension mismanagement. What we're going to do is just go back to the well of taxpayer funds and then give ourselves raises while we unveil the art car that we can all sip champagne and pat ourselves on the back for supporting starving artists. This really is a technical, call it Milwaukee and the amazing Technicolor monstrosity. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back after this.
Conservative thought, not just talk. The Dan O'Donnell Show will be right back.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for my great friends at Mander Collision and Glass. Now, with 6 locations to serve you, you hear me talk about how great Mander is, their work ethic, their customer service. Here's customer Hank. Took my Corvette in for a new windshield with camera in the glass. Their tech knew everything and did a great job. Everyone there was friendly and helpful. I loved the modern and very neat waiting area. Thank you, guys. Finally, even the bathroom was very clean. This is a very professional family-run business. When I need any more work done, I'm coming here. Peter, you're the best. He even brought this old man an armchair so I could sit and work on my laptop. The receptionist was very quick to say hello and knew everything about my job. Thank you. No, thank you, Hank, for reminding me and everyone about the Mander difference. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com. That's mandercollision.com.
Sendik's game day favorites are back. Get ready for kickoff with great deals on party must-haves all this week. Check out Sendik's gourmet burgers for just $5.99 a pound. Sendik's signature taco dip is just $6.99 a pound. For pizza lovers, Sendik's is featuring their own Pinza Romana deli pizza for just $8.99 each. And it wouldn't be a party without game day wings for just $6.99 a pound. Let Sendik's help you score big at your game day party. Sendik's, your trusted local grocer.
Here's a penny for your thoughts. There's about 11,000 tire-related crashes every year.
Mostly due to driving around on underinflated, beat-up, worn-out tires with low tread.
A couple of clicks at richlands.com will get you scheduled for a free tire tread test.
But if you're pressed for time, there's an old trick we use in the tire industry that'll tell you if you need tires.
And that's free, too.
My dad showed me, who learned it from his dad, who learned it from someone else way back in 1964.
Ah, yes. The old penny test.
Yep, just place a penny head first.
As in upside down.
Into the groove of your tire. Now, if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, you're due for tires.
And hey, if the free penny test frazzles you, book an appointment at richlands.com.
If your tires are good,
no harm, no foul, because it won't cost you a penny. Be safe, buckle up, and hang. Always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're
due for service.
Such a refreshing change. Richlands.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cabovers than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Anti-Procrastination Officer Brian Wickert. Most homeowners and home shoppers have heard the Federal Reserve will cut rates by 0.25% in mid-September. Well, I have great news. When it comes to mortgage rates, it's like the cut has already happened. That's how markets work, and it means there's no reason to wait to either start or resume your home search, because most 30-year fixed-rate loan scenarios will now have a rate and APR that starts with the number 6 instead of 7-point-something. The already lower mortgage rates also mean the refi window of opportunity is open for folks who bought their homes earlier this year or late last year with a rate in the mid to high 7s. If you can save $1,000 a year in payments and spend less than that in refi loan cost, do it. AccuNet can also typically offer a genuine no loan cost refi, which makes lowering your payment a genuine no-brainer. Don't wait. Click on the blue button today for a no-pressure refi checkup or to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
A violent crime is committed every 24 seconds. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists to provide you with firearms education, training, and access to self-defense liability insurance. So when trouble comes, you'll be ready. Over 800,000 Americans trust the USCCA, and right now, there's an exclusive, limited-time offer for radio listeners. Go to defendfamily.com to get a free family defense guide, a survival secrets training video from a retired FBI agent, and see all the benefits of membership. Go to defendfamily.com now.
Between market volatility, inflation, global unrest, and the presidential election, there's a lot going on. Take control with help from Annex Wealth Management. Have a plan built that matches up with your investment and retirement goals. Annex does it as a fee-only fiduciary with unbiased advice. Annex offers financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, and Annex Ignite. Head to AnnexWealth.com, click the Get Started button. It's time to put things in order. Know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. AnnexWealth.com.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Tax Network USA is A+ rated and has saved over $500 million for their clients. Whether you owe a few thousand or a few million, they can help you.
Call Tax Network USA at 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com. That's 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com.
Like that. Milwaukee and the amazing Technicolor boondoggle. Now, how about this? Milwaukee and the amazing Technicolor dream car. Milwaukee's art car. Joseph in the amazing Technicolor dream coat. Come on. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber. Get some culture in there, producer Dave. There is a grand total of one person in Milwaukee County's criminal justice system who ever wants to speak publicly about the criminals that the justice system puts back on the streets to endanger pretty much everyone. For those who missed our opening monologue, I reported exclusively that the suspect who was taken into custody after shooting 3 Milwaukee police officers who suffered graze wounds, they're members of the Special Investigations Division, graze wounds to the hand as they were holding their ballistic shields, which, according to one law enforcement source, saved those officers' lives. And as this suspect just unloaded on the officers who returned fire, striking him in the shoulder. Eventually, he did surrender at an apartment building. He was free on $1,000 cash bond from a false imprisonment domestic violence case in which he allegedly held a gun to a significant other or someone who he was romantically involved with back in 2020. This case has dragged on since October of 2020. He was first released on $2,500 cash bond. He does something to reoffend as this case just drags on and on and on. And then last year, he's freed again on $1,000 cash bond, even though he had already broken the terms of his original release. Why did this happen? The one man who ever dares to ask these questions publicly and is part of the criminal justice system joins us live on the phone right now. Please welcome Milwaukee County Judge David Borowski. Your Honor, it's always a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Dan, thanks for having me on.
Your initial reactions to this?
Well, as you know, I can't comment specifically on any specific case or any specific person. But, you know, the problem that I've seen in Milwaukee County for decades, and it's gotten worse in the last 4 or 5 years, is that just collectively the various justice-involved partners, so the DA's office, the judges, the court commissioners, the things that we're doing and the decisions that we're making obviously aren't working. You know, as many of your listeners do, that within the last year, the statute was modified to allow judges and court commissioners to specifically take into account the danger that someone presents to the community, not just some of the prior criteria of, well, is this person going to come back to court or not, but looking at the danger that someone presents. And I think collectively, things need to change in Milwaukee. And tying your two topics together, that topic along with the crazy art car, there's better ways to spend $88,000. You know, for instance, that would probably cover all or most of one police officer's salary for the next year.
You know, that's exactly what I was thinking. Independent of overtime and probably health care benefits, that's a senior officer's salary. That is like a Milwaukee police sergeant's salary.
Right. And so when we're being told that we don't have enough money to add police officers, we don't have enough money in either the city budget or the county budget to adequately staff the district attorney's office, to put officers on the street, you know, things need to change. And it's not just our office, or I should say the judges and the court commissioners, but it needs to change in the community. It needs to change in the DA's office. And there needs to be more done by the city of Milwaukee and other elected officials.
Well, you know, we hear that, and I'm sorry to interrupt. We hear that. I talk about this all the time, but you as somebody who is in the courtroom, you as somebody who is part of the system, in your opinion, what is the one immediate change that can be made right now that would go the farthest to ensure this sort of violent crime doesn't happen? I mean, I know there's not one easy fix or one, and pardon it, I mean, no offense by this, no magic bullet, to turn that phrase. There's no magic bullet that will stop this, but what is the one policy change that can be done right now that you believe will have the greatest impact?
Wow, that's a tough one, Dan. There's so many potential policy changes. The one thing I'll agree with the police chief on is that you know, a lot of this needs to start where it starts for you and I and for most of your listeners. It needs to start at home with parents and guardians actually raising their kids. And I don't want to sound too strong, but, you know, let's be honest. The kids that are 12, 14, 15, 16 years old are running around, as the police chief pointed out, in the middle of the night or sometimes in the middle of the day, firing shots at other individuals, firing shots at police officers. There's something drastically wrong in that household. The second thing would be, as you know, this is not a panacea, and the police, I think certainly the line officers do the best they can in Milwaukee on a daily basis. But you know, and your listeners probably know that not that long ago, the police force in Milwaukee was around 2,000 officers.
Yep.
Then more recently, it was 1,800 officers. Right now, they're at about 1,500 officers. That's not a perfect solution. But Dan, look at it this way. I don't know if I've ever made this exact point to you, but when people say, well, we don't need more police officers. You know, police officers serve a lot of roles. Some of it's enforcement. Some of it's traffic calming. Some of it's just responding to awful crimes. Some of it's prevention. But if you're going to the hospital, would you rather go to the hospital that's like kind of barely, marginally staffed, or would you like to go to the hospital that's completely, fully staffed and everybody's up to speed and everybody's being paid well and they're all being treated well? If you're going to the airport, would you rather be on the plane that's, I think we're pretty good, or the one that's completely, fully staffed and up to speed? There are not enough officers in Milwaukee to deal with the situations that are presented, whether it's investigation of a homicide, detectives, traffic calming, day-to-day patrol, or prevention, in my opinion.
What about going from, taking that next, obviously we have a lack of enforcement, but what we're constantly told is, well, we don't have the budget for this. We don't have the budget for this. Obviously, there's the budget for massive raises for every elected and appointed official. There's a budget for an $88,000 art car and whatever other boondoggle that the city can come up with. And please don't misunderstand. I am a big supporter of the arts. I am a big supporter of artists. They typically are not funded by government. And yes, they do work on commissions. We don't just give them the political graft of an $88,000 salary to work for a year on I still don't believe that thing took a year or that it cost $88,000. This is just a way to get $88,000 into an artist's pocket and not, say, a police officer's or a firefighter's. But that notwithstanding, taking that next step of actually imposing significant cash bond and increasing funding for the Milwaukee County Jail, expanding the jail. I don't think there is a Republican in the state legislature that would oppose significantly increasing funding so that we can lock violent offenders or offenders who we amended the Constitution to allow for more latitude in assigning bail or revoking bail and that sort of thing. The public clearly wants this. Pass this overwhelmingly, something like 65-70% of the vote, if memory serves. Why is it that we still have a guy who has been committing about one crime a year since 2006 out on the streets, and even after he reoffends, he gets cash bond? I mean, is this not a policy of both the Milwaukee County Judiciary and Your Honor, I do have to hold your feet to the fire. Is this not something that you could be banging the drum with the court commissioners that your judges employ to say, look, we need to set higher bonds, and when someone reoffends, that bond, that bail needs to be immediately revoked? I mean, you would have thought that the Waukesha Parade Massacre would have ended that farce once and for all, but we're still doing this.
You really like to hit me with hard-hitting questions, don't you, Dan?
You're never getting softballs on this show, sir.
That's right. But let's put it this way. Everybody needs to make appropriate decisions. And part of the factors that we as judges and commissioners need to look at clearly now has been defined as protecting the community and looking at the violence that someone could perpetrate while they're out on bail. Someone, not necessarily this defendant or this person, but generally someone that's offended in the past and has jumped bail in the past is going to jump bail again. The best predictor of your future behavior is your prior behavior. Mm-hmm. And, it's just the truth. You know that, Dan. You have kids. I have kids. If they're continually doing something wrong and they're not receiving consequences, then they will not only continue to do that behavior, they'll continue to expand it into behaviors that are even worse. And that's what happens generally in Milwaukee. As you said, it starts with, someone boosting a Kia. And by the way, that barely gets discussed enough. The auto theft rate in Milwaukee is astronomical. I mean, it's at numbers no one can conceive. I think you just said it's like 1 an hour or one every
hour and 10 minutes. And we're praising ourselves because car thefts are down 40% from 10,000 car thefts in a single year. It was like at one point, a car was being stolen. I think I did the calculation. It was like once every 40 minutes for an entire year. Of course, they're going to go down because it's not even possible for thieves to steal. But like, there aren't enough hours in the day to steal as many cars as people were stealing.
Right. Eventually, that's going to go down because it's like if the temperature hits 97 degrees, is it going to go down? Yes, of course. That doesn't mean it's not still hot when it's 90 degrees out. And that's kind of the argument that certain elected officials and appointed officials in Milwaukee will make. That, well, things are better. Sure, they are a little, at least if you believe the statistics, a little better now than they were 3 or 4 years ago, but they're still awful. And pretending that things are not bad also avoids the necessity of making decisions and choices that will improve the situation. I'm personally tiring of certain elected officials saying, well, it's so much better than it was 2 years ago. Again, that's if you believe the statistics, number one. And police officers tell me, I've spoken to police officers, of course, off the record, that say, part of that is how things are reported. And part of that is them not making arrests when they might have made arrests 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Something that was an arrest turns into a ticket, for example. That does not necessarily mean that crime in the overall sense is down. It means it's being reported differently. But even if it is being reported accurately, that doesn't mean that we as elected officials and people in the community are doing enough. The one person I want to mention, though, that I'll give credit, and I don't know him personally, but Alderman Westmoreland is the one elected official other than me that has said anything about this monstrosity art car. I mean, Dan, think about it. Not the $88,000. Yes, that's a rounding error on a penny relative to the city's overall budget. But it's also more than the average person makes in Milwaukee County. It's more than the average citizen.
By far more than, I think it's
way more.
David, I think it is double the average household income in Milwaukee, what we pay the artist in residence. And is it somewhat unfair to focus on this? No. You know what? I actually had a moment where I said, should I feel sorry for Sarah Davitt taking $88,000? And you know what? No. This is the Milwaukee and the amazing Technicolor Dream Car is a perfect example of fiscal mismanagement and where our misplaced priorities are. You know what, Judge Borowski, I am so sorry to cut you off like this. I'm looking at the clock and we are running up against the top of the hour. I could absolutely talk with you about this and the issues of crime in Milwaukee and what you've seen. Is that her salary, producer Dave says, or is that how much she was paid? She made $88,000 just for the car, but clearly, so the statement from the Arts Board made it clear. They said, well, we just didn't want to pay $1,000 commission to do a piece of art. We wanted to make sure that artists can actually earn a living. Like, what? No, that's not what you are doing with taxpayers. If you wanted to commission an art car, commission an art car. I seriously doubt this thing is worth $88,000. She's basically super gluing pieces of plastic onto a car. Kids do that for the homecoming parade, okay? Do you think we're paying $88,000 to the Whitnall High School marching band to make a float? Sorry. So, Judge Borowski, I can't tell you how much I do appreciate you coming on talking about this stuff publicly. I apologize that we do have to go to a break, but I would love sometime at your convenience to have you on for just maybe a full hour and just talk about this stuff. Could we get you in studio? Because you are like the one person in Milwaukee County that speaks so candidly about this stuff.
I'd be happy to do that, Dan, and I appreciate you having me on today. Have a good weekend, and go Packers.
Go Packers indeed. He is the Honorable Judge David Borowski. You are listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
The Parker Bedroom is Penny Mustard's most popular Louis Philippe-inspired design.
Louis who?
He was the king of France.
The Parker Bedroom is a classic.
Solid wood construction, forever tight bed brackets,
and hidden storage compartments in every piece.
I love France.
Really?
Especially the fries.
Oh.
And the toast.
The Parker Bedroom, starting at just $280 a month with only 1 penny down and no interest till September of 2027 through September 8th at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Yeah, Breaker 19, this here's Rubber Duck. You got a copy on me, Big Ben? Come on, 10-4, Big Ben. By golly, it's clear all the way to Madtown. Mercy sakes alive, it looks like we got us a convoy.
Blackman Pool Spas and Saunas has a convoy of hot spring spas and Finleo saunas on the way across the USA.
Blackman's has endless pools, hot tubs, and saunas of every size and for every budget. Don't miss their best pricing of the year and 0% financing.
Breaker 19, you better skip them tolls. This sale ends September 8th.
Go ahead, relax. It's Bachman's.
It was a doozy, all right. Apparently, things got a little out of hand, as evidenced by the job description.
Repair heel marks on conference table.
You get the picture. Office party, a few too many drinks, and a gal who felt compelled to use the top of the conference table as a dance floor. And as you expected, we showed up on site and made that tabletop as good as new. By golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY Finishing.com. Well, if you haven't heard me bragging by now, we're darn good. Actually, my dad has no qualms about saying we're the best. And if you're skeptical, I understand. But all you have to do is go to MullallyFinishing.com to learn why we're great at what we do and see lots of before and after photos that show off our impressive work. So if you're looking for a name you can trust, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY Finishing.com.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Me too.
She absolutely nailed it.
Are you talking about Jenny Sambeline? Yeah, Jenny and her pendant, the music in a mother's heart. Hi, Rick. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Monica. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Jenny.
Jenny, we're going to produce your pendant design as a limited edition collector's item and put a few of them in all of our 8 Kessler stores.
Congratulations, Jenny. Wow, this is huge. Jenny, we expect the music in a mother's heart to sell out very quickly.
We'll also make a few available online.
I designed that pendant from the memory of how my mother made me feel when we'd sing together.
How often did that happen?
Constantly. We'd sing along with whatever was playing on the radio, or sometimes we would watch a musical on TV and sing along with that.
At just $124, the music in a mother's heart is going to sell out lightning fast.
I'm buying one.
I'm buying one. I bought the prototype the moment I saw it.
For the location of the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
The one thing we know for certain is the United States is going to be one intense place this fall.
The Tucker Carlson Live Tour is coming to Fiserv Forum September 16th.
So we thought, what better time to hit the road and see the country? And we're going to this fall. From coast to coast, we're going on a live tour with a bunch of friends of ours who you will recognize. We're going to be live on stage responding to everything that is happening in real time.
Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by Sambrosa.com and brought to you by Swan Bitcoin.
I'm Matt, and I'm a former Trump voter. One of my biggest beefs with Donald Trump is that with him, anybody who doesn't agree with him is a radical, is a lunatic, is a leftist, a Marxist, a communist, somebody out to destroy America. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because I don't want to live in a world that's all about hatred and retribution and getting even with your neighbors and getting rid of people who are different from me.
Republican Accountability PAC, Inc., paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee, ra-pac.org.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Tax Network USA is A+ rated and has saved over $500 million for their clients. Whether you owe a few thousand or a few million, they can help you.
Call Tax Network USA at 800-728-2000 or visit TNUSA.com. That's 800-728-2000 or visit TNUSA.com.
Yeah, Breaker 19, this here's Rubber Duck. You got a copy on me, Big Ben? Come on, 10-4, Big Ben. By golly, it's clear all the way to Madtown. Mercy sakes alive, it looks like we got us a convoy.
Blackman Pool Spas and Saunas has a convoy of hot spring spas and Finleo saunas on the way across the USA.
Blackman's has endless pools, hot tubs, and saunas of every size and for every budget. Don't miss their best pricing of the year and 0% financing.
Breaker 19, you better skip them tolls. This sale ends September 8th.
Go ahead, relax. It's Bachman's.
the Dan O'Donnell Show. Unfortunately, got to go right to the news. Plenty more coming up next.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. A police-involved shooting on Milwaukee's northwest side wounds 3 officers. Police say they were looking for a 35-year-old man wanted for several crimes at an apartment building yesterday morning. After waiting for an hour for the man to come out of an apartment, police say he began shooting at them. 4 officers returned the fire. That led to a standoff, which eventually led to the man's surrender. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman.
These officers could have lost their lives today. Unacceptable. This is something of a trauma on their end, but also it is traumatizing to our community.
3 officers suffered minor injuries. The suspect was also injured. All 3 of them are expected to recover. President Biden called for stricter gun control after this week's school shooting in Georgia. Speaking in western Wisconsin, Biden said there can be common sense solutions.
Got to hold parents accountable if they let their child have access to these guns. Let's enact universal background checks and end immunity for gun manufacturers.
Biden was in Westby to announce $7.3 billion in grants to expand green energy in rural America. He calls it the greatest electrification effort since the New Deal. The father of the suspect in that school shooting near Atlanta that left 4 people dead has been arrested. Colin Gray is facing several charges. His 14-year-old son is accused of killing 2 students and 2 teachers in the Wednesday shooting. 9 more people were hospitalized. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, the Brewers host the Colorado Rockies for a weekend series starting tonight. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
If you're feeling vibrations in your steering wheel after reaching speeds of over 50 miles per hour, you should bring it into Richlands and let us fix it for you.
If your brakes are making weird noises or feel strange every time you apply them, you should bring it into Richlands and let us fix it for you.
If your engine light is on, you should bring it to Richlands.
And let us fix it for you, because there isn't an auto service repair job on the planet that our service techs can't fix.
Courtney's right. Just check out some of our Google reviews. A whole lot of stars means a whole lot of happy customers.
Proof's in the pudding. So whether you need factory scheduled maintenance
or tires, brakes, and suspension service, we've got your back.
5 conveniently located facilities, all AAA approved,
and all staffed by ASE certified technicians. I'm Brett Matchke, and the next time you're due for service,
bring it into Richlands and let us fix it for you.
Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
A drizzly start to our day today with a chance for isolated showers throughout the day. Should see a much cooler high of around 66 and feeling chillier with a strong north-northwest breeze at times. Overnight, we clear out and drop down into the 40s. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll hear from a doctor about what he learned from a dying patient under his care. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
How would you like to own a jewelry store? Kessler's Diamonds is an employee-owned company.
And Kessler's is growing. Are you the kind of person we're looking for?
Does it make you happy to make other people happy? Are you a problem solver?
Would you like to wake up every morning knowing that you're going to help a lot of people find joy today?
Kessler's Diamonds is people serving people. Keep in mind that Kessler's is owned by its employees. So let me ask you this. Are you a good enough leader that you can be an owner who leads other owners?
Don't worry, you don't have to know about diamonds. We can teach you about diamonds, but the people we're looking for aren't looking for a job.
Did someone pop into your head just now? Do you think you might know who we're looking for?
Give that person a call.
Send them an email. Tell them to walk into Kessler's Diamonds and say to the person who greets them,
I think I want to work here.
Welcome to Kessler's. A fantastic place to buy jewelry and a wonderful place to work.
For the store nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
I'm Kamala Harris. Here's a few things I believe.
Middle-class families, like the one I grew up in, they want common sense solutions. You want lower prices and lower taxes. I believe you want to just not get by, but you want to get ahead. We must create an opportunity economy where everyone has a chance to get a car loan, buy a home, start a business. And I believe we can make that happen.
Kamala Harris's plan? Bring down costs by cracking down on corporate price gougers. Make homeownership more affordable for families. A middle-class tax cut for 100 million Americans. And make sure billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share so you can keep more of the money you've earned.
And instead of being focused on the politics of the past, we need to be thinking about the future and how we make it better for families like yours. I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Tax Network USA is A+ rated and has saved over $500 million for their clients. Whether you owe a few thousand or a few million, they can help you.
Call Tax Network USA at 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com. That's 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. Go to TriCountyContractingWI.com to see completed projects near you, find out about our worry-free roof tune-up, request a free estimate, or get your free online instant roof price. Tri-County Contracting.
News Talk 1130 WISN.
Be sure to listen to the Annex Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Annex provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference.
The Packers kick off this season Friday night.
My goodness.
Coverage begins with Doug Russell live from the Potawatomi Sportsbook at 3. Kickoff at 7:15 on Milwaukee's home for the Packers.
Go, Pack, go!
97.3 The Game.
Thanks again to Milwaukee County Judge David Borowski for joining us for an extended segment last hour to talk about crime in the city. It feels like we've been talking about the same stuff for years, primarily because we have. This requires a wholesale change in policy that I just don't believe that this city or this county's justice system is willing to make. Right, this does. Producer Dave is absolutely correct, chiming in my ear, that this affects everyone, literally everyone, not just people who live in Milwaukee, not just people who live in Milwaukee County, but criminals who are in Milwaukee County have proven that they are extending their tentacles pretty much everywhere. You're seeing car thefts in West Allis. You're seeing car thefts in Wauwatosa, in Menominee Falls. You had the massive car theft, the ring from Chicago that came up to a car dealership and just boosted a bunch of cars right off the lot. This is the sort of stuff that happens when you don't have a system in place to adequately deal with violent career criminals. Folks, this requires just a targeted effort of the 10% maybe of people in Milwaukee County who are committing pretty much 85 to 90% of the crimes. There are always going to be crimes of opportunity, shoplifting. Every so often a kid gets it in his head that he's going to stick up a liquor store or something like that. Those are rare. Crimes of passion do happen. Unfortunately, school shootings like the one we saw in Georgia, they do happen. I do want to get to at some point during the show, the biggest outrage on the political left is not the fact that this happened, but rather that J.D. Vance supposedly said it's a fact of life. Nothing you can do about it. It's just, that's not at all what he said. In fact, he said the exact opposite. But when you talk about crime and you talk about mass shootings, this is why people sometimes disagree or don't understand why I use the mass shooting database. It's the Gun Violence Archive. They have a mass shooting database, and the political left and the cultural left tries to use this. Oh, yes, there's a mass shooting every single day. We have had 255 mass shootings or whatever it is. Yes, we have. We have had a grand total of one mass shooting that fits the Columbine narrative that we've had in the public's consciousness pretty much since the Columbine massacre of April of 1999. And we've essentially had 25 years of copycats in some form or fashion. This one, apparently, the 14-year-old gunman was obsessed with, was it the Uvalde shooting? It's the copycat phenomenon. And there is deep, deep mental illness at play here. So, of course, we're going to blame the gun. The real issue with mass shootings, if you want to get down to it, the real issue with mass shootings is not a 14-year-old kid bursting through his school. Statistically, that barely ever happens. The mass shootings that happen every single day, and we always talk about it on this show, are the street-level crime where you've got one thug shooting at another thug, or there's some sort of disagreement at a club or something like that, and 14 innocent bystanders are caught up in the rush and 5 people are shot. That meets the congressional definition of a mass shooting. When you have got these happening all the time, here we go. According to the Gun Violence Archive, guess how many mass shootings that would meet the Gun Violence Archive's mass shooting this year? We are on day 205, maybe? 160. Oh, you sweet summer child. 385. That's way more than one a day. We're approaching nearly 2 mass shootings a day in which at least 4 people were killed or injured. 385 in calendar year 2024. The Georgia suspect is now in custody. By the way, he's making his appearance, or at least did a little while ago. I'm watching our monitor that's on Fox News right now, being led away in cuffs, and he's being tried as an adult. So too is the parent, the father of this gunman. And I am a huge proponent, if there is criminal negligence in not securing a firearm, if there is any attempt to cover up or impede an investigation into the child's crimes, absolutely, there should be criminal charges filed against the parent. I believe that this is going on live right now, although Fox doesn't have the live bug in the corner to indicate such. Anyway, we had exactly how many mass shootings that fit the typical going into a public place, a church or a school, just opening fire indiscriminately? How many have we had? Out of those 385 mass shootings, how many have we had? 1. I'm not sure it's even 4. In 2024, I can think of 1, maybe 2. Now, this isn't to say I don't want people J.D. Vancing me and saying that this is a way of life, but you had 385 mass shootings. And only a tiny handful, let's say for the sake of arguments, that you can count on one hand fit that traditional definition. Clearly, we're looking at this from the wrong perspective. Again, it is a tiny percentage of people who, A, ever will commit crimes. B, a significant percentage of those people will only commit 1 or 2. These are usually the drunk drivers, right? They're scared straight, or maybe it's a teenager who steals a watch and he gets busted and he goes to juvenile who am I kidding? You're not going to a juvenile justice facility for theft. You're barely going to a juvenile justice for you're basically not going to Lincoln Hills unless you bludgeon somebody to death with a stapler. You think I'm exaggerating. But let's say the kid gets a theft ticket or something like that. The overwhelming majority are scared straight. They turn their life around, they're on the straight and narrow, and they move on. There are some who commit some crimes, and eventually they do something that lands them in such hot water that they turn their life around. The goal is always to get that person to turn their life around, to get a punishment that finally tells them, hey, I'm going to ruin my life, or I'm going to do something really bad. Now, one part of this I'm not getting into as much as drug addiction, which is fueling an insane amount of crime. A lot of the crimes of opportunity are committed by drug addicts who are looking for money to stay high. And a lot of the crime that's committed is by drug gangs who are feuding or committing crimes and trying to control territory. It is very rare, statistically speaking, that you get somebody like this suspect who opened fire on these cops who is just committing crime after crime after crime after crime. And the problem where we have this disconnect is that for far too many cities where a lot of this crime is taking place, there isn't the will. We had a dramatic rethinking of criminal justice in just the last couple of years to our detriment that has led directly to this explosion of crime. I've called it the decriminalization of crime, or the George Floyd effect, a continuation and essentially a codification of the Ferguson effect, where police officers were just no longer proactively investigating crimes because they were terrified of having their lives ruined if they ever have to shoot a suspect of color. They would be, the public enemy number one. So what happened was, following 2014, 2015, you had this dramatic pullback in proactive policing. In 2020, you actually had not just a defunding of the police, and that's the thing that everybody focused on, defund the police, when it was actually far broader than that, was far deeper than that. You actually had what I have termed the decriminalization of crime, where criminal charges weren't filed. We had what percentage of felony cases were no processed in 2020 and 2021. Jim and Jessica over at WisconsinRightNow.com did an incredible job logging this. How many cases were brought to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office that the DA's office just didn't charge, just dismissed? It was something like 60% of felonies. Forget about a misdemeanor. That's how they were trying to clear the COVID backlog when they closed the Milwaukee County Courthouse for months at a time. They just didn't charge crime. You essentially got a free pass. What also happened was there was the intellectual set that was saying, well, we need to, in the interests of promoting social justice and not targeting people of color with criminal charges and offenses. Never mind the fact that almost all crime is intra-racial, and crime is reported by the victims of crime. So the people who are reporting, say, black offenders are almost invariably black themselves. It's not a racist targeting if everybody involved in the commission of the crime, the perpetrator and the victim, is black. How can it possibly be racist? But this was deemed to be a great societal injustice. So all over the country, crime just stopped being treated seriously. We would let offenders go. Look, the guy I was talking about in the opening of this program, at the 9 o'clock hour, he's committing serious crimes, and he's getting 50 hours of community service. 50 hours of community service. He's already spent 8 months in jail for substantial battery. He's got theft of movable property. He's got violent disorderly conduct. He's got operating without consent. And he gets 2016, possession of body armor. What is this guy doing with body armor? It's like he's going into war. He beats the hell out of somebody. Class A misdemeanor battery. He's possession of body armor by a convicted felon. How much you want to bet that he doesn't just have body armor, but he's also got a gun? He gets 18 months, but that sentence is stayed. Immediate. He gets 50 hours community service for a battery while he's wearing body armor. 50 hours of community service. So when he goes to the local food bank, oh, you're fine. What message does that send? Instead of sending him to prison and maybe say, okay, hey, you give him time to say, you know what, 9 years ago, I'm 26 years old. Maybe it's time to grow up. Maybe it's time to actually do something with my life. You're able to make him rethink and think about the consequences of his own actions. Do you know what he's thinking after he gets 50 hours of community service? Wow, I beat the system. Sure enough, he goes right back to crime. And he almost murdered 3 police officers trying to arrest him while he's out on bond after he had already violated the terms of his bond. And by the way, there was evidence of tampering with his electronic monitoring bracelet. He's just gone. Let's give him $1,000 cash bond. Who cares? Just let him out. Why? All in the name of social justice? How does that keep people safe? And then in the ultimate tragic irony, the community that's supposedly benefited by all this, primarily the black community in Milwaukee, is the one that's most victimized by people. Where was this? 81st and Garfield, 81st and Custer. 91st and Custer, excuse me, producer Dave. Is that primarily a white neighborhood or is that primarily a black neighborhood? Who is more likely, therefore? Let's say, okay, we almost had a mass shooting yesterday. You almost had a mass shooting where some of the victims were cops. The suspect's roommate talks to Fox 6. Great get by them, by the way. And he said, well, God protected me. Thank God I wasn't hurt. He very easily could have been. Black guy or white guy? Black guy. How exactly are we benefiting how are we demonstrating that Black Lives Matter if they're constantly in the path of gunfire by dangerous people, black, white, Hispanic, whomever, who are plunked into their neighborhoods and then set back out time and time and time again? Okay, this was sort of an impromptu rant for the last 15 minutes, but I think thank you, Dave. It's not a rant, but it feels like it because I feel like I say the same thing over and over and over again. Like I told Judge Borowski, I would have thought that Darrell Brooks Jr. and the Waukesha Parade Massacre would have ended this farce once and for all. This guy, he's out on after he tries to run over his girlfriend in a parking lot. Days earlier, he killed people. He used his car to kill people, and he's out because, well, running over the girlfriend's foot wasn't serious enough to maybe think, hey, if we let this guy out. Now, of course, nobody could have predicted he's going to go into a parade and try to kill as many people as he can with his car. But would it not be a reasonable, logical assumption that if he tried to run over the girlfriend's foot, hey, if we release this guy, maybe he's going to attack the girlfriend again? This is another just sad hypocrisy here. We claim to be standing up for women. We claim to be, oh my gosh, we got to protect women from violent, predatory men. How exactly does this work? Who do you think most likely the guy who shot up the cops was going to target as soon as he was released? Probably the girlfriend who he was arrested for holding a gun and making threats to kill her in 2020. All right. Producer Dave, we are going to push back how bizarre one segment. It's sort of been a very free-flowing show. If you take a look at the outline, Producer Dave, it started on track. You could tell I was off yesterday. Yeah, I've got a lot to say. Yeah, this is true. Yes, it is. Yeah. You can tell I was off. What do you think? Should we just blow off Clay and Buck? No, I've got a lot of stuff I've got to get to after the show today, and we have got a lot of stuff that we are going to get to next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage, so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cabovers than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
Sendik's game day favorites are back. Get ready for kickoff with great deals on party must-haves all this week. Check out Sendik's gourmet burgers for just $5.99 a pound. Sendik's signature taco dip is just $6.99 a pound. For pizza lovers, Sendik's is featuring their own Pinza Romana deli pizza for just $8.99 each. And it wouldn't be a party without game day wings for just $6.99 a pound. Let Sendik's help you score big at your game day party. Sendik's, your trusted local grocer.
Bob Tarantino here for EasyHomeBidder.com. A 62 Ferrari sold for $52 million and a 1955 Mercedes sold for $142 million with both buyers and sellers excited to win. Want to win selling your home? Want to win buying your home? Only EasyHomeBidder.com guarantees maximum sales exposure and maximum buying opportunity. Sell or buy real estate. Your big win is waiting at EasyHomeBidder.com. That's EasyHomeBidder.com. Real estate for winners. EasyHomeBidder.com. That's EasyHomeBidder.com.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SECURE to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantaged status. So text SECURE to 989898. That's SECURE to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
The revolution will not be televised.
A talk radio revolution.
The revolution is here.
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
What do you think, folks? It's been kind of a serious show, and Friday we usually reserve for the silly. Don't worry, How Bizarre is coming up after the next break. Let's get a Kamala Harris update.
We see what can be unburdened by what has been.
The next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Yes, I am fishing for compliments. I thought matching Kamala's cackle to Woody Woodpecker was pretty. I did the production myself. That is her. That is not Woody Woodpecker. That is 100% Kamala Harris cackling. We did not use AI. That is 100% my editing skills. Yes, I am really groveling for praise. Kamala Harris, via who else? Anonymous campaign officials, has reversed one of her closest held positions. In 2019, she wanted to ban plastic straws. She said it during a climate town hall with Erin Burnett.
We ban plastic straws.
I think we should. Yes. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest. It's really difficult to drink out of a paper straw when if you don't gulp it down immediately, it starts to bend.
Yes.
And then, the little thing catches it. And then, so we got to kind of perfect that one a little bit more.
So you'd ban it, but rely on innovation.
I mean, we got it. Yeah, innovation is a process, right? You don't just do it. Innovation is a process, but let's encourage innovation. And I think we could do a little bit better than some of those flimsy plastic straws, but we do need to ban the plastic.
All right, we're going to have much more.
Okay, so she basically said, yeah, I know paper straws suck, but we got to ban plastic straws. This is another thing that you talk about the ultimate virtue signaling thing. Where do you think plastic straws end up in Wisconsin? Do they get to the ocean? No. Do you know why there is this massive push to ban plastic straws? It was a grade schooler's homework assignment that sort of went viral maybe 8-9 years ago. They said, oh my gosh, plastic straws are getting into the ocean and they're harming marine life. And everybody wants to save the oceans, right? So American plastic straws can no longer exist. Plastic straws go for Wisconsin for everywhere. They go into landfills. Ideal? No, probably not. Plastic doesn't degrade for several 100,000 years or whatever it is. Okay, I get that. But they're not going into the oceans. We do, in fact, have a massive, it's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch that's just sort of floating around in the Pacific Ocean. It's the size of several states. I think, the size of Texas? Producer Dave, look that up. What's the size of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? None of that trash is from the United States. It's all from East and Southern Asia. Now, that's not to say, okay, how big is it? Twice the size of Texas. My God. That should give you just some idea of how massive the Pacific Ocean is, as twice the size of Texas is like nothing. But twice the size of Texas of just garbage, just trash, called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Not one part of it is an American plastic straw. But Kamala Harris yet again has said, okay, via anonymous. Notice she's not reversing this in person. She's leaving this to anonymous campaign officials because as of right now, she has done a grand total of one sit-down interview. They apparently adjudged that it went so poorly, they're not allowing her to do another one. She will, of course, have to face Donald Trump in the ABC News debate, which is going to be Tuesday night. We will be broadcasting pregame and postgame coverage of it. The question now is, will there be a second debate? It's entirely possible, Dave. Dave wants to know, is there going to be a second interview? Will there be another appearance by Kamala Harris at an unscripted event until the election? I think it's entirely possible there won't be. Remember, mail-in ballots in states are starting to go out right now. Voting, as impossible as it sounds, you want to talk about how bizarre. The election isn't for 2 months. We're almost 2 months away, almost exactly 2 months away from the election, and voting for it has already started. I'm not sure. We know there's going to be a vice presidential debate. Is there going to be a second presidential debate? She already pieced out of the one that was supposed to be on, Wednesday night? On September 4th, there was supposed to be a Fox News debate. Of course, she wasn't going to agree to that one. She might actually get a difficult question. Speaking of difficult questions, how is Kamala going to respond to the latest Joe Biden flub? Maybe this is a subconscious way of throwing a monkey wrench into the Kamala campaign's talking points. Joe Biden was talking about climate change and whatever else yesterday, and finally admitted what everybody else pretty much knew. The Inflation Reduction Act wasn't actually about reducing inflation, but rather combating climate change.
My investments, the most significant climate change law ever, and by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called we should have named it what it was, but at any rate.
He totally couldn't remember what it was actually called. It was called the Inflation Reduction Act, but he just admitted it's actually a $369 billion climate change bill. Do you think there will be any follow-up questions on that for either Biden or Harris? By the way, we did have jobs numbers come out. 142,000 jobs created in the month of August, far lower than analyst expectations, and probably making it more likely that there will be a more significant Federal Reserve rate cut when the Fed meets. This is the number that is really, really opening people's eyes. According to the BLS report, the change in employment by origin in August of 2024, 1.3 million native-born Americans lost a job in August, while 635,000 foreign-born workers gained a job in August. 1.3 million American citizens lost their jobs. Is there any doubt that we are importing a foreign workforce in order to the evidence sort of speaks for itself, because you can typically pay someone from out of the country far lower a salary than you can for an American. Is there any question what the purpose of unfettered illegal and legal immigration is really all about? Now, nobody denies that we do have a significant skills gap in this country, so we do need to import Chinese, Indian engineers and computer techs and that sort of stuff. But when you take a look at that number, it's jarring. And in fact, all of the job gains that have been in this country since pre-pandemic, I believe it goes back to 2019, all of the net job gains have gone to foreign-born workers, whereas American-born workers have been steadily losing employment. All right, we're going to take a break from the serious, focus on the silly. How bizarre, coming up next here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
More of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Next.
You got to get to Built Right today. Dan O'Donnell here for my awesome friends at Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. Built Right's biggest Labor Day sale is held over, so shop where the O'Donnell family shops. Now more than ever, it's the time to support Built Right, a locally and family-owned business for 4 generations and 96 years strong. Built Right has the best team and selection of affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses in Wisconsin. Be ready for your holiday guests with furniture and mattresses from Built Right. Their 45,000 square foot showroom has thousands of items in stock plus 500 mattresses. Check out Built Right's outlet and clearance center inside their showroom for special deals. Built Right always saves money. Voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association Retailer of the Year. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Dan O'Donnell here. It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dave Spano here as well. He's the CEO of Annex. Labor Day is now in our rearview window. We are still looking straight ahead to the presidential election, as well as the Federal Reserve meeting September 17th and 18th. A lot to digest, Dave.
Yeah, over the next 8 weeks, we're probably going to see some volatility, Dan, but you really can't make an investment decision based on seasonality. You remember sell in May and go away certainly didn't work out, but you saw that 7 of the last 8 months, the market has been up. We have a lot of data that we're going to look for over the next number of months. We'll have a presidential debate next week, and that'll determine a lot of the way people think about this economy. And when we look at this stuff, you have to say the same way the Fed looks at it, Dan. Will we have inflation coming down? And as importantly, will we have unemployment going up? We'll get a payroll report this coming Friday. That's going to tell us a lot, especially after the BLS gave us a BS report. So a lot of information to digest over the next 8 weeks, folks. Make sure you have a plan plan in place, that you understand the risks, and if the environment changes, what you're going to do about it.
Yeah, that's right. You always need to be prepared for the unforeseen. And in an election year, really with the potential for a massive change in tax policy on the horizon, there is a whole lot of that which is unknown and to some extent unknowable. This is why we always say you need to be working with someone who's working with and for you as a fee-only fiduciary. Get that review of your portfolio, a wealth metric, at AnnexWealth.com. For Dave Spano, the CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. You've been listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Listen, my children, and you shall hear of a sleeper sofa called Revere.
What are you doing?
I'm talking about the Revere sleeper sofa from Penny Mustard.
You mean the new and improved Revere sleeper sofa?
It was already an awesome sofa sleeper.
Yeah, but now it's even awesomer.
The Revere is like having two sleepers in one sofa.
And this isn't your founding father's sleeper sofa.
Declare independence from painful bars in the middle of your back.
And enjoy a superbly supple mattress on a solid base.
The Revere's mattress is so thick and luxurious, you'll want to take a midnight ride shouting, "Comfort is coming! Comfort is coming!"
It's a real game changer.
I guess you could say the Revere sleeper sofa is...
Here it comes.
Revolutionary.
The Revere sleeper sofa, starting at just $109 a month, with only 1 penny down and no interest till September of 2027 through September 8th at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
When traveling at 20 miles per hour, the average stopping distance is about 40 feet.
That stopping power is calculated in both thinking and braking distance.
And assuming you've got the thinking and braking part down, the only thing left is good tires.
Just Google Richlands to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 convenient locations.
And rest assured, we'll put you in the right tire no matter what sort of vehicle you drive.
Plus, every tire purchase that we install automatically comes with our free flat tire protection plan.
5 conveniently located facilities, all AAA approved.
And all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to install your tires.
So Google Richlands.
Or go to richlands.com.
And remember to be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you have good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
Due for tire service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
When you need to sell quickly, choose Grandview to buy your home. Don't worry about real estate agents or showings. We'll buy your home as is, no repairs or clean outs needed, and you'll get an offer in hours. Visit GrandviewHomes.com for your fair cash offer today.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to AdventKnows.com.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
It is that time of the week we take a break from the serious business of the news of the day to bring you the serious, the strange, the stories that make you laugh, make you cock an eyebrow, make you scratch your head, and make you say,
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
I have been waiting literally all week to talk about this. The Chase Bank glitch. You haven't heard about this. It went mega viral on TikTok over the weekend, last weekend. And I'm like, do I really want to wait for How Bizarre to talk about this? Because I think there's a broader topic here. The Chase Bank glitch is actually check fraud. So what went viral online, no, this is way worse than Office Space, Dave. It's a TikTok trend, has people thinking that they can get free money from the bank. What it involves is, with Chase Bank, you write a check to yourself. And before the check can be verified as actually having the funds, you deposit the check. The balance shows up in your account. So you write yourself a $10,000 check to yourself. Okay? You write a $10,000 check to yourself. The funds show up before they can be verified as actually existing. Yeah, it takes about a day. Before that happens, you go and withdraw $10,000 from your bank account. That $10,000 doesn't actually exist. That is absolutely not how it works, Dave. That's why it's called check fraud. People apparently, do Generation Zs not know? And if it wasn't so obvious that this is fraud, I would give them some leeway because most young people really don't use checks all that much. Frankly, I think maybe I get one check every month. It's not my paycheck. It's another source of income. And no, it's not the Russian disinformation site or whatever. Ridiculous. Yeah, Tenet, did you hear about this? Tenet Media got indicted. Apparently, Russians can no longer run American media companies. So what, the BBC, it's illegal for the BBC to operate in America. I've got a lot to say about that as well. But no, I get one check. I probably write maybe a check a month, if that. I've been writing a lot more since building a house, but you don't use checks a lot. It's just so obvious this is fraud. So a lot of people have been posting, hey man, don't do the viral Chase Bank challenge. Look at this. And they're posting the negative balances in their accounts. This is going to take my entire life to pay off. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have spent all that cash because then you could, if you didn't, you could just deposit it right back. It is a crime. It is check fraud. It is a felony. But people, oh, of course they're going to know who did it. It's all in your account. These have got to be the dumbest people on planet Earth. This is the point, Dave. This is why I wanted to talk about this as a broader topic. I don't want to just spend all of how bizarre talk about how stupid are people. Honest to goodness. It's not like I would set up an account in the name of, say, Dave Michaels and do this with imaginary Dave Michaels funds. I'm doing this with Dan O'Donnell funds. Wow, it must be difficult for Chase Bank to figure out when you're using Dan O'Donnell's account who wrote the fraudulent check. These people are just lucky they're not facing significant prison time for what has always been a very serious crime. Yeah, and now you know about the Chase Bank glitch. The glitch is fraud.
How bizarre!
No, Dave says he thought there was a catch. No, there is no catch. It's just these people are just that stupid. In Japan, workers are stressed out. That's no surprise, right? Japan is known as a very hard-working populace, and they want to go the extra mile. They also, workers in Japan, are finding it very difficult to quit their jobs. So they're hiring resignation experts to quit. A typical 9 to 9 workday for Yuki Watanabe is the bare minimum. He said the latest I would leave the office would be 11 p.m. He's a 24-year-old, and he used to work for some of Japan's largest telecoms and e-payment companies. I'll bet you Yuki Watanabe could tell us about the check scam over at Chase Bank. But he had such gross demands that he just couldn't do it anymore. He began to develop health problems, shaky legs, stomach issues, and knew she had to quit. But there was one thing in the way: Japan's notoriously top-down work culture. Asking to leave work on time or taking time off can be tricky enough. Even trickier is tendering a resignation, which can be seen as the ultimate form of disrespect in the world's fourth biggest economy, where workers traditionally stick with one employer for decades, if not for a lifetime. In some extreme cases, grumpy bosses rip up resignation letters and harass employees to force them to stay. Seems to be pretty easy, just kind of walk out the door. But Watanabe has found a way to end this. She hired Mamuri, a resignation agency that helps timid employees leave their intimidating bosses. For the price of a fancy dinner, many Japanese workers hire these proxy firms to help them resign stress free. There's no official count on the number of resignation agencies that have sprung up across the country, but those running them testify to the massive surge in demand.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Finally, Conor McGregor has ended his bid for a UFC comeback, which is probably for the best. He hadn't won a match in a while and broke his leg in his last fight, which was, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. He has not been in an octagon for quite some time. Guess what he's doing now? He's a very, very wealthy man, not just from fighting, but he's got a whiskey company that is doing very well. He's probably worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 million, so he's not hurting for cash. Do you think he's going into pro wrestling? Do you think he's going into acting? Is he going into another sport? Is Dave's guess? No, he is actually going to run for the presidency of Ireland in 2025. He says he is absolutely serious. He bailed on his UFC comeback after suffering a broken toe. UFC CEO Dana White says he's not even thinking about McGregor's return. And McGregor says instead he's fed up with the charlatans in charge of his native Ireland. He is very much against the unfettered immigration onto the Emerald Isle over the past several years. And he says he wants to shake up the establishment or dissolve it completely and give power back to the working class. As I said before, he wrote on Twitter, I would have all the answers the people of Ireland seek from these thieves of the working man, these disruptors of the family unit, these destructors of small businesses, and on and on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, far from being bizarre, we might be seeing the birth of the Irish Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the strangest stories of the past 7 days here on the Dan O'Donnell Show in a segment we call
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires, it's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
Hot summer night, lightning strike. Down goes the tree, right through their bedroom wall, nearly ruining a walnut headboard, which is pretty hard wood. Fortunately, the customers were okay. But the headboard? That wasn't. Until they called us. We made that Victorian headboard better than new. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing, repair, and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. Well, if you haven't heard me bragging by now, we're darn good. Actually, my dad has no qualms about saying we're the best. And if you're skeptical, I understand. But all you have to do is go to MullallyFinishing.com to learn why we're great at what we do and see lots of before and after photos that show off our impressive work. So if you're looking for a name you can trust, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Frank Daniels, our Madison goldsmith, has an idea.
Bring him in.
Hey, Rick. Hey, Sarah. Hi, Monica.
It's great to see you, Frank. What's your idea?
It's a new company policy.
Let's hear it.
You know the world-famous Kessler's warranty?
If you bought it at Kessler's, it's guaranteed. It's just that simple. Even if you lose a diamond, including the center stone, we'll replace it. All maintenance is free forever. Yes, it really is that miraculous.
Every time I hear that warranty, it blows my mind.
I propose we have a jewelry cleaning policy that's as amazing as that warranty. warranty.
What would it say?
Bring us your jewelry and we will professionally clean it. While you wait, for free. You can come in as often as you want, and we don't care where you bought your jewelry. The only thing that matters is that you want it to look amazing again. We want that too.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. I vote yes. The motion carries.
Congratulations, Frank. Your idea is now company policy.
For the location of the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply. I'm actually embarrassed to say that I did vote for Trump in 2016. I don't think the man can be trusted. He talks out of both sides of his mouth. He's a very dishonest person. I hate the way he disrespects women, the way he disrespects other people that have worked for him. I just don't see myself ever voting for Donald Trump. This is not my Republican Party any longer. I have to go with Kamala Harris. Republican Accountability PAC, Inc., paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. ra-pac.org.
Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer can give you a cash offer for your home in just 5 minutes, no matter its condition, because selling your home should not be complicated. Visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com, pick your closing date, and the rest is simple. That's MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com.
Call Callan to remodel your kitchen or bathroom or to replace windows and doors. Callan, design, build, live. Call 414-529-5509. Visit callcallan.com or stop at its Muskego Design Center.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Did you watch the NFL season opener last night? The first half, I actually watched pretty much all of the fourth quarter. I was out with a bunch of cousins who I haven't seen in some time. They live all over the country. It was my aunt's funeral. She passed away a couple of months ago, and we obviously love Aunt Nora and will miss her forever. And this was the first time yesterday that all of the aunts and uncles who are all across the country and the cousins who are literally across the world. I have a cousin who lives in Beijing, China, and cousins who live in Washington, D.C., in Atlanta, in pretty much everywhere. And this was the first time the entire family could come in. So this was the first time all of the cousins were together, and we spent pretty much the entire day together. I mean, it's always hard when it's the funeral of a loved one, but it's always good when an entire family can get together, even under the worst of circumstances. So I got home late, watched the NFL season opener as an incredible finish. Finally, is there any doubt the end of that game, Baltimore would have tied or won that game on the 2-point conversion without instant replay? Without the use of instant replay, where Isaiah Likely's toe was basically, this was sort of like the Kevin Durant toe a couple of years ago when the Bucks won the NBA championship, and he had like his big toe was on the 3-point line, and instead of giving the Brooklyn Nets the lead with like 2 seconds left, it tied the game, and the Bucks just dominated in overtime en route to the title. Likely's big toe was on the line. That would have been a game-tying drive. It would have been nice to see Taylor Swift upset. Yes, she was in-house for that game, but it's just great to see NFL football back. Of course, in Brazil this evening, the Green Bay Packers open up their season against the Philadelphia Eagles. You gotta love this. Both teams wear green. What is nobody supposed to wear out in public in Brazil because it's a gang color? Green. Also, Brazil just banned X. because it does not censor political speech. And there has been at least one state representative here in Wisconsin saying the Green Bay Packers shouldn't play. It was, John Mako said the Packers shouldn't play. They should boycott this game in support of free speech. Now, this sounds kind of ridiculous. Okay, someone's really going to boycott a country because they don't have Twitter. You might remember the Green Bay Packers actually walked out of practice. The Milwaukee Bucks boycotted an NBA playoff game in the bubble playoffs of 2020 in support of a rapist who was kidnapping his kids when heroic police officers attempted to save those children by shooting him. The infamous Jacob Blake incident, which led to the Kenosha riots. It's interesting. All anyone remembers from that is one name, Kyle Rittenhouse. That's all anybody can remember from that. I, however, have the benefit of hindsight. Didn't the Milwaukee Brewers boycott a game as well, or was that just... Am I missing that? I feel like they did. They did some form of protest. Everybody, this was in the Summer of Love 2020. No, obviously, I don't think the Packers would ever. No, Blake was the summer of 2020. Wasn't it? Yeah. It was the Kyle Rittenhouse trial was in 2021. Yeah. It was the summer of 2020. And in any event, Green Bay Packers open up their season. Would I like to see a boycott? I don't know. This is the way of the world. This is a fact of life, to paraphrase J.D. Vance. It's just going to be exciting to see the Packers back in action today. Have a wonderful weekend. I am back Monday morning here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.